In my book, it's absolutely clear that the statements made by the Pentagon in December categorically contradict what has been said today by the White House. There's an old saying in my line of work that the cover-up is often worse than the actual conspiracy. And in this case, you really have to question what on earth is going on. I've been talking to people in New Jersey, New York, Long Island for a long time now, and whatever these visitors are, they've been around since Thanksgiving and Christmas, and they're the guests that never left. I'd like to now bring in the mayor of Belleville Township in New Jersey, Mayor Michael Melham. So, Mr. Mayor, you've seen those quotes from the White House and then the Pentagon. They do appear to contradict each other. What's your take on what's going on, and what's your view on the drones crisis?
I mean, it's disappointing. You know, here on the ground as mayors, there are 500 mayors strong here in New Jersey. We are the closest to the ground. The people are coming to us for answers. And sadly, our federal government is failing us. Our state government is failing us. I mean, come on, just listen to that most recent statement. We've been waiting now, 8 days for disclosure on this matter. And we're told that the drones that were flying, past tense, were flying. Last night, there were multiple drones over my house. So I don't know what they're talking about when they say were flying. And then they're flying for other various reasons. What could the other various reasons be? We have miles and acreage in the Midwest where you could fly anything you want experimentally and test and do your research there. Why are they flying over northern New Jersey, right dead smack in the middle of our airspace? We still have more questions than answers. And unfortunately, this is sad. And this is not the disclosure that myself and many others were looking for.
I have to admit, it is an amazing disappointment to see a president who has campaigned so strongly on his willingness to confront what he calls the deep state. And he appears to be so supinely rolling over and willing to accept and acquiesce to the wishes of the national security state on this issue. Frankly, I'll say it, I don't think the explanation from the White House washes. It contradicts categorical denials from the Pentagon that these were any kind of Defense Department or military drone, or indeed any kind of experimental research. If in fact in December the Defense Department was telling the truth, the implication is that the Defense Department itself was being misled. Can you think of any explanation that fits into the account given now by the White House that these were authorized drones, authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons? Can you tell us what you were told by the FAA and the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security?
Yeah, I mean, listen, point blank, Homeland Security said it's not us. The federal government told us point blank, these are not federal operations. Those two things were told to us point blank in a mayor's only briefing here in New Jersey, whereby our state of New Jersey, our own governor, couldn't get answers from the then Biden administration. I mean, come on, the Biden administration couldn't tell our governor, wink, wink, these are us, we're doing research, these are our drones. Come on. I mean, we're not accepting this anymore. And then we were on a mayor's only White House briefing where we were told, you're seeing things. There's nothing to see out there. We don't have not one credible threat of a report in the sky. Then the very next day, they actually convened a House Intelligence Committee, had a classified briefing that lasted 3.5 hours. Well, what did they talk about for 3.5 hours if, one, there's nothing to see here, or two, if our AAA is saying, oh yeah, by the way, what, they forgot to tell us that those were our drones, that they have clearance and they have licenses to fly? The FAA was telling us here in New Jersey when they issued a ban in 26 different municipalities, which was then extended. By the way, it's no longer active. But they were telling us if they see a drone in the sky, they may take lethal action. Come on. Why didn't they just tell us from the very beginning that it was theirs? I mean, I'm not buying it. I'm still waiting for that disclosure. I mean, sadly, I've been waiting for about 8 days. I didn't expect much from the Biden administration. I do still hold out faith and hope that we will hear something better from the Trump administration. He's been all over this topic. He's been quoted multiple times, even going on the record as to say, oh, the government knows who they are, the president knows who they are. Now, 8-9 days into his administration, we're being told. I mean, really, it actually sounds like a cover story to cover the fact they didn't have a cover story.
I think that's the thing that's most concerning is the possibility that the government is genuinely flummoxed, which frankly is what I've been being told by my sources. I've been being told by people in the FBI, the FAA and the DHS and the Defence Department that nobody has any idea what these objects are. And indeed, it has been reported in the media, I think last week, that the FBI had admitted that they were not able to trace the source of these drones and nor were they able to find out who was responsible for them. Now we have this totally contradictory statement from the White House, which appears to be an effort to shut this whole issue down. Now, sir, we do live in a different era from the 1940s where governments could explain things away as weather balloons. Do you think the people of New Jersey will buy this White House explanation?
I can tell you that this mayor is not buying it. And I can tell you there's a bunch of other local elected officials that are not buying it. But you're onto something. You know, we do live in a sad reality of people's attention spans are only a few minutes long. I mean, a month ago, people were all over this. A couple of weeks ago, when this got brought back to the surface by people like me and others going on social media and keep ringing that alarm, you know, people were still interested. I have to say, it's waning. You know, people are less concerned and less curious, and potentially that's part. Potentially this is a whole experiment to find out how long people's attention spans are going to be. And I think they're finding out that sadly, people are no longer asking questions. Thankfully, I have a pulpit, and thankfully, I have a mechanism in a media format to be able to ask those questions and hopefully demand some answers. But you're right, we are getting competing information. I mean, the federal government initially was telling us nothing to see here. Then you had one congressperson saying that it was an Iranian mothership off the coast of our shore. Then you had another, I think it was the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, say it was China. So all this competing information, I mean, all it does is fuel conspiracy theories. So truth and transparency is gonna tell the truth. We're waiting for that. I'm hoping, and I'm still crossing my fingers, we're gonna get some disclosure. We deserve more answers. Drones were flying over my house last night. That's unacceptable here in northern New Jersey.
Now, just one thing I want to remind the public about is that in mid-December, when this was all in full blossom, when everybody was getting very wound up about these drones, there was a statement issued by the FAA, the DHS, the Department of Defense and the FBI, where they made a categorical statement that these were simple misidentifications of known aircraft and that, in fact, there was no suggestion in that statement that there was any kind of authorised drone flyover authorised by the FAA. Do you agree that that statement appears to directly contradict what the White House has said today?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. I mean, why do a temporary ban over 20-something municipalities here if you know exactly what's going on? And why not just say it? I mean, the fact they're telling us they were flying and various other reasons. I mean, I've been saying for a long time, we're no longer questioning who's doing it. I had believed that these were government assets from the very beginning. Unfortunately, we don't know why. Why are they flying over urban spaces like here in northern New Jersey, densely populated areas? We have plenty of places they could do training exercise, plenty of places they could do research. What is it they're looking, or dare I say, sniffing for?
The other concern is that there have been military bases closed down, not just over New Jersey, but across the continental United States. The Picatinny Arsenal over New Jersey, there were so many overflights over there that the commander confirmed that there were 11 illegal incursions that were directly over the base. By any definition, they were gross incursions that posed a national security threat. Does the assurance now from the White House that these were authorised drones put your concerns to rest, sir? I know they don't, but I just want to hear it from you.
No, they don't. As I said before, it sounds like a cover story to cover for the fact they had no cover story. I mean, keep in mind, it wasn't widely reported, but a couple weeks ago, there was a Chinese national in California who was caught trying to board a plane en route to China with a drone that had been flown over one of our military bases. So clearly, there are bad actors at play here. Clearly, in my opinion, there are some good actors at play. Potentially that we put drones up as a counter surveillance measure. Potentially we put them up for our own eyes and ears up there. But just tell us that's what's happening. to tell us first that we're seeing things. You know how insulting it was to the residents of New Jersey to be told you guys are seeing things, it's all misidentification, and now to be told, oh yeah, by the way, the FAA did permit these things. I mean, come on, we're not buying the story anymore. They have to do better.
Well, Mayor Michael Melham, I thank you so much for coming on so quickly. And I somehow think, knowing the people of New Jersey, they're not going to take this sitting down and just cop it. I suspect that if these drone incursions do continue, and as you say, they haven't actually abated at all. The other misleading thing I think that was being said was that these drones ever went away. They never went away. If they continue, it's going to be very interesting to see how the government wriggles its way out of this one. Mayor Michael Melham, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.